Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another Lorwyn Eclipsed Arena Direct event. This time it is the Play Booster Box Arena Direct. If you've never played these before, as always, these are your chance to win some physical Magic Gathering cards by playing digital Magic on Arena. We need to get 6 or 7 wins in best of 1 sealed to get there, and you have to do it before only 2 game losses. So very high risk, very high variance event. All it takes is having mana issues twice and you're gone, even with the best sealed pool and the best deck ever. So super high stakes stuff, not for everybody. It is 6,000 gems to enter. That's like $30 worth of gems. But it is a way to play some competitive, limited on Arena and potentially get some physical cards. So still a cool event, and I'm excited to hop back into it. As always, we're going to be playing up to 7 events, or up until we win the Play Booster box, whatever comes first. Without further ado, let's just bust open these packs, hope for some good cards, and see what we get to play with today. All right, well, we got some elves here. We got Tristan, Formidable Speaker, and Immutable Explorer, which is an elf because it's a changeling. Spry and Mighty's pretty solid and sealed too because the board states can get really cluttered. It is very board dependent. You know, whenever you don't have any creatures on board, it's a complete dead draw. So it has pretty big downsides, but I think those matter a little bit more in draft than sealed. I've found, generally speaking, in sealed, a lot more board stalls where this is relevant. There's also 2 green-based dual lands, which is quite interesting. If we play either of the main green color pairs, or if we play all 3 of those colors, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, I'm feeling green. 4 green rares and 2 green lands, but we'll see what we've got in our commons and uncommons here. Checking out the multicolored and colorless first, we have Springleaf Drum for very mediocre fixing unless you're specifically Merfolk, and then it can be okay but still mid. And then Eclipse Drums, which is not the greatest fixing, particularly in sealed where you're unlikely to have like all creatures of the same type like you could get in draft. So not much when it comes to fixing outside of our dual lands. Any huge signpost uncommons pulling me in any direction. Some good hybrid mana cards, but those don't quite count. We do have Eclipsed Elf. 4 elves, we do have 2 signpost Merfolk, Deep Channel Duelist, and Eclipsed Marrow, and 2 Marrow Sky Swimmer. It's actually really good. So we've got premium Merfolk uncommons that are pretty much rare power level. So we want to take a peek at Merfolk as well, because these also both play super well with Sky Swimmer. This is like the best common Merfolk, especially in sealed where you get in these board stalls. That flying and vigilance to just keep chipping at your opponent is huge. So really good stuff for Merfolk, or really good stuff for elves. We've got a lot of green cards, and we do have an Eclipsed Elf, which is a strong card. So those are the main decks we really want to look at, but we will take a peek at all of our colors, make sure that we've checked everything, and we play what looks the best. Starting off with our white here, we don't have the greatest creatures early on the curve. We've got 1 Reedry, which is very good, not too much otherwise. Sorry, Twin Flame Travelers was still in there. But up at the higher end of the curve, the Marrow Sky Swimmers are great, and then Celebrant, Hovel Hurler are fine. We've got really good removal, though, in this color. We have Liminal Hold, Pyrrhic Strike, Spiral into Solitude, and then if we're super desperate to play more removal, Crib Swap is much worse than these other 3, but technically still removal. So lots of removal here, 3 great ones. Pretty pumped about that. So if we have a secondary color or a primary color that has much more creatures than this, particularly early on the curve, this could be a great card to pair with it. If we go specifically blue-white, then we get Deep Channel Duelist and Marrow for a couple more cheap creatures on the curve, which helps fill out the gap that we're having here. So interesting color, depends what the other ones have. Primarily depends on what blue has here. So let's see what we've got out of blue. All right, well, it doesn't really fill that gap incredibly. We have 3 2-mana creatures and 2 3-mana creatures, and they're all okay. Nothing exciting. Stratosaur at 5, also just okay, nothing exciting. The non-creature spells, just okay, nothing exciting. 1, 2 removal spells, Swat Away and Blossom Bind, and some Runaway Together stuff. Can't really main deck Spell Snare. Our blue's bad. The big part that we get out of playing blue is we get to play Deep Channel Duelist Marrow, which are honestly strong enough cards that could really make it worth it to just go blue-white anyway. Like if we look at a quick example of that before we move on, while again, most of these blue spells look pretty mediocre, pretty mid, if we just put all the white in here and then look at that, it's like, oh, that looks like a very reasonable little Merfolk deck. Not a great one, but perfectly reasonable. Yeah, looks like a fine place to be, but not great. So we're certainly hoping that our green and our black are good enough to make our potential black-green Elves deck look better than that, because that is, you know, just an average, I think, sealed deck. And obviously in an arena deck direct, you're hoping to get lucky and get a deck that is at least above average, hopefully well above average. Let's see what we've got out of black now. Okay, so in black we have Blight Rot for removal, a couple Scarblade's Malices for tricks, which are going to be solid here. We've got at least 3 2-mana creatures if we go green-black elves, double scout, and a changeling. There's some goblin stuff going on here. Not a ton of it. Boggart Mischief, Gut Splitter Gang, Boggart Prankster, and the Wretched Wretch, Chaos Spewer. It's a bunch of mediocre goblins. We've got a couple Grave Shifters, which would be really, really nice. And I can't speak right now. We've got a couple Grave Shifters that would be really nice in elves or goblins too. Dream Seizer's fine because flyers are good and sealed. Grove Guide's fine. Color looks perfectly fine. Not particularly exciting, but close to as good as our white. I think our white's maybe a little better than this. The creatures are a lot better here. I mean, I think that's probably actually comparable to our white. I think our white and our black are our best colors. Our blue's pretty mid. White does have excellent removal, so I think white's still a little tiny bit better than black, but the synergy, if we specifically play elf cards, is much higher, going black-green than white-green if our green's good. We'll see. Checking out the red now, 1 Feed the Flames for removal, some super filler creatures that I don't like very much. Moving on. Last but not least, green is where like all of our rares are, and our Eclipsed Elf if we go specifically green-black to be able to afford that very restrictive mana cost. My issue that I have here is we don't have much removal, but what we do have in this sealed pool is Great Forest Druid, 2/10 the Sprigs, and the green-white Shockland, Temple Garden. So we could just play green-black and play the 3 best white removal spells as well off the splash. That way we're only splashing into a few cards. Sounds great to me, and that looks the best to me. Outside of maybe blue-white, because blue-white then gives us access to good removal without having to splash for it, is like the most exciting thing about the Merfolk deck. But outside of the Signpost Merfolk uncommons, we don't have a ton of good Merfolk, so I'm going to go green-black here, I think. Toss some cards in here. There was no more fixing. Particularly no fixing for non-creature spells, like removal. We can cut 4 cards. And be an Unforgiving Aim running all this white removal instead. And maybe a Scarblade's Malice too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Non-creature cards. I cut both the Malice here. That's 7 non-creatures, 16 creatures. Sounds good to me. Farrier's not a good creature type, but not a great creature. Neither is the Wretch. And Luminal Husk will gain us some life here, but doesn't really do anything proactive. So I'm not a massive fan of the card. That looks good to me. Playing like this. All right. We don't have the most explosive rares or anything here. They're just like a bunch of solid value plays at 3. So we don't have like the craziest finishers aside the Spry and Mighty. But nice consistent deck, splashing into a good chunk of removal. A little bit of everything you need, and probably about the best this sealed pool has to offer. Outside of trying to jam Merfolk, which would end up with some pretty filler Merfolk, and not the best curve anyway. But it would be better interaction. Yeah, I think the Merfolk deck's really reasonable as well, but I'm happy to play this green-black splash white elves deck. We'll adjust our mana base. 13 green cards and 9 black. 6, 7, 8. Let's go 10 green sources. If I can. Probably can't. If I go 10 green sources, it's a 10-7 split on green and black. White we have 2 sources of, but we have the 10s and a little bit of treasure and a Great Forest Druid, which I think is fine. So this way I get 10 green sources, 7 black. I think I can do that. 10-7 split here. Although, as much as I love green mana and I need green mana badly, I only need 1 green mana. I don't really need double green ever. Let's actually go a little closer. We'll go 9-8-2 on green, white, and black, and we're just exclusively tending for the plains. The one issue is if we ever mill the plains off of Scarblade Scout, we could have a problem. That's it, though. It's only like if we mill the land off of those that I'd be sad. Yeah, that could be bad for me. On occasion, that means maybe play 1 more plains. I don't think I want to do it. I think I want to keep these as the super late game cards for post treasure tokens, Great Forest Druid, post 10 the Sprigs, all of that stuff. We will call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how far this deck can take us in the Play Booster Arena Direct. All right, here we are on the draw for game 1 with all of our colors. Keep the sand. Opponent starts with an island. We'll start with a swamp. If we keep drawing lands here, we'll just hold off on 10 the Sprigs until we can get the tree folk out of it. If I miss all my land draws, then I should probably still run it out on 3. There's Formidable Speaker, which changes things. Now I can just run out Formidable Speaker turn 3. Mill a land and a Noggle Robber. There's Flaring Cinder, full-on blue-red elementals from our opponent. Discard a card, draw a card here, discarding Runaway together. Okay. We do draw another land for 10 the Sprigs, so let's probably play the plains and then Formidable Speaker here. Next turn we'll play Graveshifter on Scarblade Scout. Unless I find something really good for the speaker. Grab a Dream Caesar. Could just play a Safe Right Cavalry next turn. Tristan, Eclipsed Elf. Maybe we're supposed to just take Eclipsed Elf every time with this deck. Should get a 2-for-1. Just grab a 2-for-1 here. I've got the forest for him. There's Rhyme Speaker, which I may liminal hold that immediately to keep them from drawing a bajillion cards and winning in the card economy. Thanks to our lifelink and our liminal hold life gain, I'm happy to trade 2 damage for 3 damage here. The Chitness Graspling to hold that off. This Flaring Cinder's popping off. Cast a lot of 4-mana spells for it, so I'm really glad I stopped them from drawing a card every time they played a 4-mana spell. More mana efficient to go Graveshifter into Scarblade Scout, but also I could save Graveshifter to get somebody better back later, so probably do that. Find a Safe Right Cavalry, that's a great one. Double Grave Shifter for this cavalry. If I play 10 the Sprigs, I play nothing else this turn. Let's just get cavalry down. Get that ready to go. Can't be double blocked, so it can already send in. We can send it in without even activating it and play our 10 the Sprigs. They're gonna feed the flames here to exile it, and that would be sad. Another safe right cavalry. Alright, well, we know our plan. Just keep bashing with safe right cavalries and grave shifting them every time they die, or playing more safe right cavalries. I feel like safe right cavalry is going to be the biggest finisher in this deck, period, because we just don't have, you know, big bomb finishers. We just have safe rights. But they're good here. Really good on this board. Can't be double blocked, opponent. I'm sorry. Take the 4. Since 10 the Sprigs comes in tapped, we'll just play another one. Another safe right cavalry instead. Ashling's Command. It's a very good card. Get a copy of their best creature and draw 2. Really strong here. Not as explosive as it can be sometimes, because it can one-sided board wipe with the 2 damage to all your opponent's stuff. Luckily, we don't have a board state where that hits us hard. I'm really glad we did not go like Grave Shifter on the 2/2 at any point, or we would have gotten really blown out by Ashling's Command. But I believe this is like in the top 5 most winning rares in the set. Really good card. Here's Rooftop Percher, which is good against elves, good against Grave Shifter, but too early for them to exile any safe right cavalries. And no matter how wide their board is, as long as they don't have anything bigger than a 4/4, we get to keep sending cavalries in. They can never block them. We've got our own 3/4 reach to block the Percher, so we're still chilling. We're having a good time. I don't even need to spiral anybody, so I'm not going to. I'll save that for if they hit a bomb creature. We can always untap a cavalry on blocks with Formidable Speaker. Here we're just going to 10 the Sprigs, get the 3/4. Another Rooftop Percher, but we've got the reach creature now for those. That does buy them more time against our safe right cavalries. But they're still borderline forced into chumping at this point. We have enough mana to activate a cavalry once, so we can hit for 10 if they don't block. They don't quite have to chump yet. But again, they're very close. If they let it all through, all I can do is push 10, so I think I'm just going to do... I guess there's no reason not to. I'm not playing a Grave Shifter. We'll push 10. Not going to spiral anybody here, so we just play the tap land instead of spiral. I could, if I really needed to, shoot for 2 to play spiral and have Formidable Speaker. Okay, and now they have to chump every turn. Safe right cavalry. Massive MVP. That is 1-0 heading to game 2. Here we are on the draw for game 2. This hand doesn't do anything without green. How many green sources did I end up running? 9, 7 forests, overgrown tomb, and temple garden. There are only 5 swamps left. So 5 of our remaining 15 lands are dead draws. So 2 out of 3 lands are good ones. And this does really die without green. It does blight rot. So, I mean, we're on the draw. We've got 3 draw steps before turn 3. Blight rot gives us a 4th draw step. I'm going to keep this. The 1 green source then tends into the white, and we have all of the colors. Beautiful draw, overgrown tomb. Play it out, tap turn 1. Our opponent evolving wilds into plains. They're on Boros, red and white. Burdened, Stoneback is here. 2/2 that slowly gets bigger. Beats me up. Poke me for 2. There's Feastling. If I run out Formidable Speaker here, then next turn they could just double activate Stoneback and attack both. I can block the Feastling without losing creature, just take 4. And then I Blight Rot Stoneback after they dumped all their mana into that anyway. I think I am playing the 2/4 to the board here. What am I tutoring for, though? Safe Right Cavalry? I think I'm still just going Eclipsed Elf. Could be Tristan. It's a solid blocker here, but I'm just gonna go Eclipsed Elf. Always get my 2-for-1 value. Even if that's not gonna be the immediate play next turn. Stoneback is a sorcery speed effect to remove the counters from it, so they can't surprise kill my Formidable Speaker with its ability. If they attack with it as like a 3/3, then I just soak up the damage. Sure, gain their 2 for free since we bounce off each other. They might as well. And they're going to play a Wary Farmer so they can start surveilling in future turns. We draw into a Noggle Robber here, which is interesting. I'd rather have a Treasure here or Eclipsed Elf on the board. Noggle Robber helps Wildvine Pummeler. I mean, so does Eclipsed Elf. Either way would be 5 mana next turn. Yeah, let's just go Eclipsed Elf. Temple Garden or Stoic Grove Guide. I already have Attend the Sprigs. I think I get the Grove Guide. We still have an okay turn next turn if I don't draw another land. But if I do, I already got the mana for that or the Pummeler. If I don't, we play a Noggle Robber. I could even play Noggle Robber plus Spiral. If they play anything scarier than this Stoneback. Although even the Stoneback, if they activate it twice, is big enough to Spiral. Gallant Foul Knight to push some damage this turn. It's really good with the Wary Farmer. But they just hit us for 4 here. And they get their Surveil. Drawn to a Tristan. It's a very good blocker here. I don't mind running him out. Problem with playing Tristan is if we play Tristan pre-10 this Briggs, then it mills the plains. And we will not ever have white. So I could also Noggle Robber, which sets up a cheaper Pummeler. Still gives me a wide board. Could spiral somebody to slow them down and still have access to Blight Rot later. Yeah. Let's Noggle Robber. Spiral the 4 toughness card with 3 toughness or 3 power blockers up. And then have a really cheap Pummeler next turn at worst. I can lose Robber or the Elf and still play Pummeler, but I can't lose both of them. I guess I can lose both of them because the Noggle Robber would give me a treasure if it died. So I could use a treasure and my 4 lands to play Wildvine Pummeler with just a green and a white permanent on board. Flame Chain Mauler. And pass the turn. Surveil. Okay. We get a land here, which is good. Can run out the Grove Guide, or I can run out a Wildvine Pummeler. Then I'd have a Blight Rot if Noggle Robber dies. I think I want to play Pummeler first. Grove Guide is more mana efficient, but Pummeler sets up for maybe like a 2-for-1 kill on attacks in the future, which is big. Land for turn. Maybe even surveilled that to the top. Gives them double activate of Stone back and an activate of Mauler. Sure. Activate Stone back. Activate Mauler. What are they going to do to my Wildvine Pummeler here? I guess we'll find out. I actually probably should have just taken this. I mean, it's 3 damage at like no cost to me. I'm just getting really greedy on wanting to play Blight Rot early. Yeah, I shouldn't be putting Pummeler at any risk. I'm basically just sacking Robert to play Blight Rot. But I am scared about the immediate damage in the near future. They're going to burn spell Pummeler. They're going to giant fall Pummeler. Okay. That's not horrific. We stopped all of the damage, and they just spent a full removal spell to kill one creature. That actually didn't go as bad as I thought it would have. In the end, that's fine. Okay. We didn't get our treasure, so we didn't get the whole goal of Blight Rotting that turn, but we can do it later. Okay, now I can tend pre-Tristan and have Blight Rot up. Which is perfect. They have only 3/3s on blocks. I have a 3/4 on blocks. I will have a Blight Rot up too. Now we get to start going back and forth here, especially with life gain from Tristan soon. If they have the red-white mythic rare, that thing's going to delete us at any point. It makes our blocks so miserable, even if I hold blockers up, that it'll still lead to a losing game if I never attack them. That's the one that gives them 2 1/1s with haste and then gives the whole board +1/+1 in haste. So their stuff would all have 4 toughness against my 3 power creatures, except for Flame Chain Mauler. And the tokens, I guess. Indestructible Flame Chain Mauler again. Activate Mauler. If I double block, I force them to activate it again, and then I just Blight Rot it when they do. Could Blight Rot the stone back, though. They've got 1 card in their hand. What if I just double block stone back, then? That's fine. Blight Rot Mauler. One white mana up is not enough to stop Blight Rot. And that was an incredible turn. Okay, now I mean our 2 3/3s trade with those, and we're ahead all these cards. We're golden. Made some questionable lines this game, but they somehow all went pretty well for us. $19 cards left. Mill 3 to deal 2 to them. I don't think I want to mill 3. With them at 18 right now, it doesn't feel quite worth it. Already got a pretty full grave, and I certainly don't want to lose this game to mill. See, if we had any grave shifters, they're already great. Yeah, I'm just not going to do that. They have the 5 mana to activate. They can make Farmer a 4/4. So I need to Grove Guide, and Tristan are my only options of attackers. Either trades into Wary Farmer, which is fine. We get that out of the way for the 3/3 to attack into the Shield Bearer. Yeah, we don't have like an insane amount of pressure here. I feel like games like this can definitely stall out. So I'm a little risk averse to milling off Tristan. They're going to trade into Tristan. We can get the Foul Knight off the board then. Since Death Touch anyway. And they go to 13. Now Grove Guide has free reign to keep attacking. We still have both our safe right cavalries. Those might be our best draws. Tweeze is a great one for our opponent, killing one of our creatures and also letting them ditch a bit of flood to draw something else. It draws another land, but that's still not the worst with Shield Bearer. So at some point they get to double trigger. Ooh, Graveshifter is genuinely perfect. Graveshifter back, the Pummeler or the Eclipsed Elf, both are great pickups. I think Safe Right Cavalry is really good here, and there's 2 copies in the 17 cards coming up. So I'm actually going to just Graveshifter the Eclipsed Elf here. Get a 3/2 and a Safe Right Cavalry is certainly stronger than just get 1 6/5 trample. Mutable Explorer is fine too. Well, 4 cards closer to the Safe Right Cavalry, so they're in the next 12. They're in the top 12 now, not the bottom. I guess top 13, not the bottom. Whatever. There it is. And we do have the 5 mana. 2 blockers. Let's see. Block 5, block 3. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7 damage. Yeah, they're in a very bad spot. That is 2-0 now, heading into game number 3. All right, here we are for game 3 with beautiful mana and a formidable speaker. There's a Mutable Explorer as well. Just ramp a bunch early if they don't put a lot of pressure on us. If they do, we'll still have to lead with a 2/4 just because it's a really good stat line for blocking. They are green-black elves on the play, but they didn't have a 2-drop at least. They do have a 3-drop Moonglove Extractor. So either way, in order to get this in without it trading off, they're going to have to spend a removal spell, and it's obviously better for us if we make them spend a removal spell on a 1/1 than a 2/4. I guess they could play anything to buff the Extractor if I only put the 1/1 out, but anything that buffs it probably has 2 more toughness where Speaker wouldn't block anyway. So I'm just going to go Mutable Explorer here. Snap trade. Cool. Great Forest Druid. And that's it there. Tend the Sprigs. No, I'm still 1 land away from Tend the Sprigs. I kind of want to just play a 4-drop here, go Safe Right Cavalry. Next turn I can go Tend plus Speaker, or Tend plus Pyrrhic Strike. Could Graveshifter Explorer, but I kind of want to save it for Safe Right Cavalry because that card is just great. We save it for threats. There's Mischievous Sneakling. Get a 2/2 out. Wild Vine Pummeler. There's our Pyrrhic Strike target. And that'll get Cavalry going in. There's a Spry and Mighty for us in the future. So we play Tend the Sprigs and Pyrrhic Strike then, holding on to Formidable Speaker for when we actually have something to discard. They do have a Blossoming Defense, which is fine. 1/1 trade into that instead, which means no attacks here. We grab another green on this board and pass. Bristlebane Battler, yikes. plus their own safe right cavalry. Well, that just got really, really bad. So Explorer is really good with Spry and Mighty, so I kind of want to pick it up and replay it here. And just set up a really big Spry and Mighty as the plan. I think despite having Formidable Speaker in my hand, I still want to play lands here because I want to like activate Cavalry plus cast Spry and Mighty to have the biggest gap between power and toughness as possible. So it's like 5 for Cavalry and 5 for Spry and Mighty. Take a rough hit here. Their mana up to activate that. Ooh, this is gnarly. Let's see if they've got a trick here. Okay, we do deal with the Pummeler, go to 16. Dawnblessed Pennant on Giants, pick up the Pummeler. Ew. Yeah, I can draw a bunch of cards here, but we have to have blockers like immediately. Just costs 3 less to cast. It's a green and 3. They won't be able to cast it immediately anyway, so they play Graspling instead, which is correct. And then Bristplane Battler's bigger. Okay, another safe right Cavalry. Do I just draw 3 cards then, so that I have the mana to play more blockers because of the amount of pressure I'm under? I guess I do. I didn't draw a land to even use Cavalry first, even if I wanted to. Oh, I have to tap 1 green. What am I doing? Okay. 4 mana, so I can play a Scarblade Scout and a Sneakling, or 1 Cavalry. Or 1 Tend the Sprigs. I think I have to play full defense, however I do it. Let's go Scarblade Scout. I guess the 1/1 isn't really blocking, so we might as well get it in here. Well, it's got the buff. Yeah, we really just need to find a way to kill this safe right Cavalry, or it is going to kill us. It's going to be the reverse here. The reverse safe right Cavalry game. Well, they passed through. I guess, yeah, they don't have the mana to buff theirs, so they don't do it right now. Ayo, Liminal Hold. And now we are not big chillin', but we're kind of chillin'. Top deck war, but we've got a Formidable Speaker for whenever we hit another land. The board is officially stalled. I think we're actually ahead now after drawing that Liminal Hold. Just perfectly timed. Draw Tristan. Formidable Speaker for a Grave Shifter is interesting, but we still want to wait for another land to play that, I think. I can play Cavalry and have the 5 up for a Cavalry still, which I do like. Oh, they don't even want to see if they have a chance of drawing better. They're already done. They don't like slow games of Magic? Well, it's an Arena Direct, so I'm going to play as slow as I need. Yeah, I mean, we're setting up with the Safe Right Cavalries, and they don't have one to just start sending it in every turn. We do need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 10 mana. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got the 10 mana. I'm up on cards here. We just play that Cavalry. I would probably play Tristan as well this turn, and then from that point on, I feel confident enough and ahead enough on board to then just start sending a 8-8 Cavalry in every turn that can only be single blocked. You know, 8-8 versus 6-5. They can't afford to block it, so they let it through. Then I can still use my mana main phase 2. Yeah. All right. That was just a super good time to draw Liminal Hold. Before that, they had the Safe Right Cavalry thing going on where we were under a bunch of pressure there and unlikely to ever be able to block well, but just flip it with Liminal Hold into a couple Safe Right, and that is 3-0 heading into Game 4. Here we are on the play for Game 4. Certainly looking to draw another green source, but if we do, Scarblade Scout to Nog Robber's great. If we don't, we still have Scarblade Scout into Formidable Speaker, which can discard a swamp to grab Eclipsed Elf to play the turn after that, which can then also look for the green source. We cannot find white off of Tend the Sprigs now, which is a rough mill from Scarblade Scout. But we got Graveshifter combo, which is fun. So let's gain our 2 life for free. Let's Formidable Speaker for the Eclipsed Elf. Play that next turn if we don't draw land. If we do, I might just Graveshifter. There's the surly boy. Our opponent's on green-black again. Elf Mirror here. We naturally draw the Temple Garden. That is a beautiful draw. So we have the Temple Garden now for any white cards anyway. Trade the Farrier off and gain the life. Here's Eclipsed Elf. And play a tap land. Eclipsed Elf finds a Safe Right Cavalry. Beautiful. And then I get to save Graveshifters for Safe Right Cavalry. I say Graveshifters plural, but it's only plural if the first one picks up the second one, which is kind of the same as just playing one in the first place. Cavalry's great on this board, so I'm going to play that over Dream Caesar, which is also good on this board. I am happy to trade Eclipsed Elf into a combat trick. Get that out of the way. Now we know that it's there. We know they have a 2-4 blocker, and we just don't have to run into it. The 4-4 attacker still attacks profitably. I could even just Graveshifter back Eclipsed Elf. Yeah, especially if they exile my other card. I am Graveshifter and Graveshifter first. They have 3 cards in hand, didn't play a land that turn. They could be sandbagging lands, but they could just have 3 good spells where we go Dream Caesar here. I'll go Dream Caesar here. There's a bunch of options of how to play this game out so far. They do have another land. I could be wrong, they might have played a land last turn. It just didn't look like it because they were not separated, but maybe that's because it was our turn at that point. Okay, Mutable Explorer. I mean, we're winning the race hard right now. Still at 20 here. Just a 4-2 flash to eat our 1-3. Which is fine. Our 1-3 has basically no abilities. Now we Graveshifter. That's very good against the 4-2. Yeah, whenever I draw land 5, I'll go 3-drop, 2-drop. Opponent floods out, and they don't even want to see what happens from here. We are 4-0, a very positive record out of this run, no matter what. A beautiful start for a pretty average sealed pool, I feel. I mean, our rares did all clump up in one color, but none of them are like super, super crazy. Yeah, 5,400 gems and 16 packs for the prize out today. No matter what, we are at least getting enough gems to do another run here, since we do have 800 gems left in the account. All right, here we are on the play for game number 5. This hand is super bad if it doesn't hit green. This is a much riskier keep than the last mono black hand that we kept. I think I have to mulligan this one. It's on the play, so that's one less draw step. It doesn't cast anything until turn 4 without green mana. Yeah, this is a mull this time. And this one's a keep. Kind of want to ditch Spry and Mighty here. That is a late game finisher. We are guaranteeing we never draw it by putting it on the bottom, but all these other cards are much more important earlier. And we really need to draw land, so there's no way I can put a land on bottom. Blightrot is the first draw. If we draw any land in the deck, we're chilling. But if we don't draw a land in our first couple draw steps, we're doomed. There we go. Perfect timing. We can play the Treasure Provider, or I can just play the Roadblock of Tristan here. I think I'm just going to play the Roadblock. Keep the 3-4 off of us. We're playing against a green and blue deck right now. Tristan did not mill an elf. Sad day, no life gain. Gangly Stompling. Well, that is our card we'll trade the Noggle Robber into. Since Tristan is not thick enough to stop that. Could also play the Scout to trade into it, but Noggle Robber gets us good value on Enter and Death Trigger, so... Plus we're more mana efficient playing it this turn. Calm down, Tristan. I will not be flipping you. I will be playing a Safe Right Cavalry. As soon as we deal with Gangly Stompling, that can just start sending in every turn, and that's the game plan. They do have Disruptor of Currents. Great card. Great Convoke rare. That was 2 mana for a 3/3 flash bounce a creature. Massive tempo. Yeah, they've got a lot of power on their board. They're getting huge tempo here. I think we need to trade aggressively. Maybe even throw Tristan in front of this Disruptor. We are a double Gravedigger deck. 2 removal spells in hand for future threats. But Tristan holding that off is still big. I think this is close, but I'm going to take that 4. Still no elves in grave. I could play Scarblade Scout and Blightrot here. Or 1 Safe Right Cavalry. Actually, if I decline the Treasure, also gives me access to Blightrot playing the Safe Right Cavalry. Two copies of the same rare in the same hand. Hopefully they try to play some kind of green removal spell here, because Blightrot would be a big 2-for-1 for us, and they can't really expect it because it's off treasures. Perfect. That's a massive swing for us. They have 2 cards left. Take those. Find Pyrrhic Strike. don't have any treasures anymore, so if I want to hold it up, I have to play Scarblade Scout instead of Tristan. Scarblade Scout is so much worse on blocks right now. I think I am just playing the Tristan anyway. I could Liminal Hold this Farrier, and that stops their nonsense they've been doing. Now that I have a backup removal spell. I don't know, I'm going to play Tristan. He's going to gain life this time. Well, maybe gain life this time. Yes. Oh, that was a good mill. Do the double up here. We've got the 2-2 against the Informant now. Double Disruptor of Currents into Prisma Basher is a deadly hand. We would have been incredibly dead if we didn't have Blight Rod up last turn. They don't gain Trample, so we still just Death Touch trade here, which is nice. Death Touch trade into Disruptor takes 6. Clear out the Trampler. Then we have the 2-2 to deal with Informant, and Farrier doesn't do anything by itself. I believe I want to Liminal Hold so I can gain life here. And then obviously play Scarblade Scout for a life linker as well. This also lets me hold Pyrrhic Strike for potential 2-for-1 later. If they play their own artifact or enchantment. Milled 2 mana sources, good Scarblade Scout mills. We don't want to draw those. Chronicle of Victory, and we kept the Pyrrhic Strike. That's gonna feel so good here, it's not even funny. Well, actually, they don't have a mana value 3 permanent for it, so it's not gonna feel perfect. So I'm only killing Chronicle. I'm not getting my double kill, but I'm getting goods here. Getting good stuff. Do not have the mana to play Pummeler like I would want. They get a Surveil. They keep it on top. Top deck Rooftop Percher. I am glad I've got this Reach creature. That'll be a 4-power Vigilance Flyer, which does not get past the 5 toughness Reach blocker. Put them to 7, and here's our Reach. All right, close game. Really sweet stuff from our opponent. Cool green-blue tempo deck there. Double bounce, Pitiless Fist kind of stuff. A lot of tempo removal-y stuff. And the Prisma Basher to top it off was a lot of damage there. And then, of course, Chronicle of Victory, always pretty crazy. But we drew the right cards to counteract that. That Pyrrhic Strike was super, super important there. The Liminal Hold was super important there. Really happy with how this deck has performed. It's hard not to be. We are now 5-0 in the money no matter what, and only a single win away from winning a play booster box of Lorwyn Eclipsed. Yeah, everything on the line now. We are at these final battles for the biggest prizes. Let's head into round number 6, see if we can't be leaving with some booster boxes of Lorwyn Eclipsed. Here we are on the play for game number 6. So we have a Scarblade Scout on 2 on the play no matter what, which is a great start, Scarblade Scout on 2. And if I hit either of my other 2 colors, we're casting something. So that's our Our 9 green sources or our planes, there are 10 draws that make this hand really good out of 33 cards, but I'm not on the draw, which is a huge downside. I don't actually have a good turn 3 if I don't specifically hit the forest. It's a big risk, but high reward. Having the scout, having double removal off of 10 if I hit green. We've had a lot of really close mulligan choices on these monocolored hands. We had one very similar to this with a Blight Rod in a couple swamps that we kept and it worked out really well. And there was another one like this that didn't quite have as many spells that I did choose to instantly mulligan. We would not, well, not instantly, but I did choose to mulligan it. We don't know how well that one would have worked. This one works well again. We immediately hit the forest. Very lucky start. Happy to see it. However, it's going to be Scarblade Scout for Scarblade Scout. And we're not going to get crazy value here or anything. And I will have to tend the sprigs here without getting the tree folk, so miss out on a little bit of value, but it's very important to this hand. There's an Eclipsed Elf, that's a good one. I kind of like running that out instead of the Cavalry, so that we draw removal with weaker cards, potentially. Yeah, when their board is empty, and Swordy can just hit for 3 if they don't do anything about it. Oh, the only options are forests. Well, get my land for turn. Still good. There's Midnight Tilling. They mill 4, pick up Morkent's Loyalists. Okay. Oh, pick up Grave Shifter, which then picks up Morkent's Loyalists. Even better. We're definitely getting outclassed by this elf deck. They got Gathering Stone, Loyalists, Pennant. They have a lot more elf synergy than we do. Wow, and then the Loyalist dying to pick up the Grave Shifter? This is disgusting. What do I even Formidable Speaker for at this point? Now that we already drew Eclipsed Elf. Another Safe Right Cavalry, a Grave Shifter. Grave Shifter to Grave Shifter to Grave Shifter? Is cute. I could just play Cavalry here in a tap land, then I can go Speaker and Pyrrhic Strike in the future. I think I'm going to hold off on ditching a land to Formidable Speaker yet and just run out the Safe Right Cavalry. I'll ditch the 7th land, maybe. Maybe not, because I could also Liminal Hold in Formidable Speaker, or Liminal Hold in Pyrrhic Strike. They play Eulogist. Mill a Spry and Mighty. It's literally our deck, but better. There's the 7th land. Okay. So I want to Liminal Hold the Loyalist. Specifically. Because I wanted an exile. So I can Pyrrhic Strike the Eulogist, so I can go Formidable Speaker, pick up a card for the future holding up Pyrrhic Strike. Pummeler or another Safe Right Cavalry, or the Grave Shifter. I think I'm going to go for the Grave Shifter. There's the Loyalist. Dawn Hand Eulogist. No blocks. They do have an instant in hand. They could have the +2/+7 destructible thing. So I guess we wait till end step. Okay, now I can kill the Eulogist. Exile Loyalist. Bash. They have a way to blow up Liminal Hold that would be very bad for us. How... They have the Chronicle too. Now I feel really bad about throwing the Pyrrhic Strike out there. Ay, ay, ay. I should have attacked with cavalry before I did that. I think I straight up just lose this because I didn't have the artifact removal for Chronicle. I was really not expecting any relevant artifacts or enchantments because the only one is like the Mythic Chronicle. They already milled a Gathering Stone, so they're unlikely to have two, and they're not a color that has enchantment-based removal, which is the main thing to consider with Pyrrhic Strike. That's when they could have relevant common or uncommon artifacts and enchantments. So I felt like using the Pyrrhic Strike there was solid because they're not going to have relevant common or uncommon artifacts or enchantments, but if they have the exact same mythic we just played against, bad for us. They're going to have like the Death Touch lifelink trick here or something. Four damage there, boop, these kill it. 4 damage there, boop, these kill it. 4 damage there, boop, these kill it. No, this is... I'd have to put it on Graveshifter to kill then. I have to put my whole board at risk to kill here. I mean, what is this deck? What is this deck? When Wizards hands you 2 booster boxes behind the table. Go to 2. Super dead. Well, that was brutal. We would have stood a chance if we had held on to our Pyrrhic Strike there instead of killing the Menacer. But I wanted to get a little aggressive there, and again, the thought process there is that green and black don't have relevant enchantments or artifacts at common or uncommon outside of, like, Gathering Stone that they already milled, which they're unlikely to have opened 2 copies of, so I'm like, yeah, we're probably not going to be blowing up anything with that anyway. Let's get ahead on board right now, and they just happen to have the one mythic that crushes me for that decision. Rough stuff, but I don't think I did anything objectively super wrong, because you can't really play around one exact mythic rare. There's like one other card that I guess it would have been better to hold Pyrrhic Strike for, which is... God, what is it? It's the Pitiless Fists thing, but that also, it's not a good enchantment to blow up. I mean, I guess we could have just went full defense and just been holding it scared of like some other big creature like a Moon Vigil Adherence or something, and that would have played better for us. But again, I think that my reasoning at the time was not that bad. It just played out literally as poorly as possible. But yeah, I mean, this is a ridiculous deck. High Perfect and the Morkent's Loyalists and the Gathering Stone, 2-drop Elves on curve, the Pennant, the Chronicle, the Adherence. It just has all of the elf stuff. Brutally powerful deck there, and it is going to crush us. That is 5-1 now. We've made things a little spicy. We have no losses to give at this point. We need to win every single game from now on to try to get a box or two. All right, another mono black keep is rough, but this is a good keep because the scout milling towards the Grave Shifter 2 and 4, or on 2 and 4, no matter what. Do not mill forests. They mill the plains and a forest. That is the literal worst mill you can ask for. Milling double forest would have been slightly better than milling plains forest, but milling plains forest is really bad. Oh, come on. And they have the Silvergill Mentor for 2 creatures off of 1 spell to start off, so Scarblade Scout doesn't do anything, not to mention the Merfolk they reveal is the removal spell for the Scarblade Scouts, and we draw another green spell. I 100% stand by this keep. I think this was a better keep than our hand last game, even. It's just that last game we top decked Forest turn 1. Those Scarblade Scout mills were awful. The number one thing we were looking to mill was a creature, and we milled land. The number thing we were looking to draw is land. Oh, baby. Well, this is a tragic ending to this Arena Direct run. I do think that the one thing that I did wrong at all today was Strike, and with the information that we had at the time, the Pyrrhic Strike was still fine. Scarblade Scout rips it away from us on this final game, but that was a better keep than even a couple of our other keeps in previous games that ended up playing way better than this one. We just saved all the bad luck for this game. Win by the die roll, die by the die roll, win by the shuffle, die by the shuffle. 5-2, a calamity of errors to bring our 5-0 run to a crashing halt in the end. That is a shame. That one box is not one on this run. That means I have to play more best of one sealed, which is a little grating on the sanity for reasons like that very final game of Magic. Ah, that's disappointing. I thought we could be out of here, be home free, just get one box, that's good enough for me, and I'm done. But this is my punishment. It's time to roll that boulder up the hill. 5-2 after a 5-0 start. The Pyrrhic Strike turn, the one thing that may have changed the outcome of this event. If we had kept Pyrrhic Strike, we would have Pyrrhic Strike the Chronicle. It still wouldn't have guaranteed a win because they did have really good cards coming up later, particularly the Moon Vigil Adherence to be still at least a 6/6 without the Chronicle there. But they wouldn't have been drawing a bajillion cards all over, and we wouldn't have been taking damage as quickly. I think we would have had a very, very good chance if we had the Pyrrhic Strike for the Chronicle there. Man, 5-0 into 0-2 always hurts the most. Any win streak into 2 losses in a row feels awful today, but on the plus side for all you viewers that like watching competitive sealed, my curse begins. If I won this time, you'd only get to watch one of these videos, and I would have freedom. But that is not the case today. There's going to be plenty more Lorwyn Eclipsed Play Booster Box Arena Direct attempts in the near future. And today we're just a very positive record and in the money with 8,100 gems and 24 packs of Lorwyn Eclipsed. I still think that's actually a really good record for this sealed pool. when you consider the quality of sealed pools that probably get to 7 wins being those, like the first loss that we had today. Anyways, we take those, I guess, in the end. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed and are interested in seeing some more, you could always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send us more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel, link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.